Great. Thank you, Cornelius. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. At this time, I would like to ask everyone who's able to stand as Abby Reddig, who represents all of our great county employees, leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Abby. Abby works as an engineer in DOT, and we sure appreciate her work on behalf of the BZA and the county. All right. For those of you who don't have a copy of the agenda, and there are copies outside the doors in the back, or for those who are attending for the first time, the first thing we're going to concern ourselves with will be cases on consent. These are cases that have been reviewed by the board and by the professionals from various departments in the county, and to which there is no known opposition at this time. We've discussed these cases in our work session. Certain staff comments and stipulations have been made, and we don't anticipate any further discussion is needed for a decision on these cases. So as we go forward, the county's senior planner for zoning, Mrs. Jeannie Payton, will read each of these cases into the record. Mrs. Payton will ask that you raise your hand as your case is called to signify that you're here. And if you are here in opposition to a case that's currently on consent, Mrs. Payton will ask you to identify yourself as that case is read into the record, and we'll then pull that case off consent and hear it as part of our regular case agenda later in the hearing. We'll then vote on all of the cases that are still on consent at one time. Once we've approved of those cases on consent, we'll move to our regular case agenda, and you will be, those who had cases on consent will be okay to leave. And with that, I think we're ready to address the consent cases. Ms. Payton, do you have any comments to make?
I do have a few announcements to make before we begin the hearing. There is one case on today's printed agenda which has been withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard. That's Appeal Case A1-2021, Michael Tremblay. This case has been withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard. That is Appeal Case A1. Additionally, there's one case on today's printed agenda which will not be heard. Variance Case V82, Wen, Georgia, LLC. This case has been continued by staff until the August 12th Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. So V82 will not be heard today. Finally, there is one case on today's printed agenda which needs to be moved from consent to the regular agenda, and that's Case V69, Dave Peck. So Case V69 will move to its place in the regular agenda.
Okay.
The last announcement I have before we start is to ask everyone to silence their phones. The ringing does interfere with the broadcast and presentations. And with that, Mr. Chairman, we are ready to start the consent agenda.
Well, let's go ahead. Thank you.
Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals variance hearing consent agenda, July 14th, 2021. Case V65, Lawrence Hauer Freeman, requesting a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 35% to 39.46, and to allow an accessory use, a pool equipment structure, to the side of the principal building, and to reduce the front setback from the required 25 feet to 23 feet for an existing structure, and finally to reduce the rear setback from the required 30 feet to 25 feet for the existing structure in land lot 226 of the 1st District. It's located on the east side of Hayward Square Place, west of Lower Roswell Road. Staff recommends approval subject to the stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V65? Let the record show that we have no one opposed to case V65. Case V67, Wellstar Pediatric Center, requesting a variance to increase the maximum allowable wall signage for a building over 20 feet in height from 200 square feet to 269.25 square feet in land lot 208 of the 20th District, located on the north side of Ernest Barrett Parkway, the west side of Cobb Place View, and the south side of Cobb Place Drive. and the east side of Cobb Place Boulevard. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Okay. Is there anyone opposed to case V67? Let the record show there is no one opposed to case V67. Case V68, Michael Nelson and Sandra Nelson are requesting a variance to allow an accessory use, a proposed pool, to be closer to the side street right-of-way line than the principal building in land lot 113 of the 16th District, located on the southeast corner of Summer Sweet Drive and Crossvine Bend. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V68? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V70, Dave Peck, Project CSI, is requesting a variance to increase the maximum allowable freestanding signage from 65 square feet to 71.3 square feet to reduce the front setback required from the required 50 feet to 26 feet in existing condition, reduce the major side setback from the required 25 feet to 6 feet, which is also an existing condition, and to increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 70% to 93.58%, which is an existing condition in land lot 28 of the 19th District, located on the southwest corner of Villa Rica Way and Dallas Highway. Staff recommends approval subject to the design guideline comments. Is the applicant present? I do not see that the applicant is present for V70. Would you like to keep it on consent?
I'm going to ask Mr. Boulogne to help respond.
No,
Yes,
we'll
if
probably
there's
move to continue it until the next month,
Okay.
let them appear.
Is that revised later, or do they vote now or anything? To continue one that the applicant wasn't present?
It'll be a separate motion.
Okay, at the end.
Yes.
Thank you. Case V71, Mandy Black, is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from the required 30 feet to 21 feet, and to reduce the rear landscape buffer from the required 30 feet to 21 feet in land lot 1073 of the 19th District, located on the south side of Borland Way, west of Erlander Way, and west of Floyd Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V71? We have opposition to case V71. Mr. Chairman, we will pull it off
Okay.
and place it in the order. Case V72, Kelly Salva is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed approximate 400 square foot pool cabana from the required 35 feet to 30 feet in land lot 1050 of the 16th District, located on the east side of Clubland Drive, north of Ridgewater Drive. Staff recommends approval subject to stormwater management comments and stormwater management to approve the accessory structure prior to permitting. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V72? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V73, Darlene Davis Green, is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from the required 30 feet to 18 feet in land lot 15 of the 20th District, located on the south side of Soft Pine Lane, east of Herds Forest Drive. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to V73? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V74, Reginald Rutherford, is requesting a variance to reduce the setback for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for an existing 5,850 square foot barn from the required 100 feet to 52 feet adjacent to the western property line on Lot 1, and allow an accessory structure, the existing 5,850 square foot barn, to be located closer to the side street right-of-way line than the principal building, and to allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened and treated surface for an existing gravel driveway in land lots 1244, 1245, 1272, 1273, and 1319 of the 19th District, located on the south side of Hiram Lithia Springs Road and the east side of Keaton Lane. Staff recommends approval subject to the traffic comments. Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition for case V 74? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V 75, Kennesaw Commercial Properties LLC is requesting a variance to reduce the landscape screening buffer adjacent to a residentially zoned property from 40 feet to 10 feet and to reduce the minimum number of parking spaces from 52 to 42 in Land Lot 210 of the 20th District, located on the eastern intersection of Greer's Chapel Road and Cobb Parkway. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V 75? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V 76, Raymond Eckierhair is requesting a variance to allow an accessory use, a proposed pool, spa, and decking and pavers to be located to the side of the principal building in Land Lot 194 of the 19th District, located at the southwest terminus of Daisywood Lane, west of Copperwood Drive. Staff recommends approval subject to the site plan received on May 12, 2021. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V 76? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V 77, Benjamin Middlebrooks is requesting a variance to reduce the front setback from the required 50 feet to 46 feet in Land Lot 973 of the 17th District, located on the south side of Paces Ferry Road, east of Teton Drive. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V 77? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V 78, Joseph L. Eckert is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from the required 40 feet to 29 feet for an existing condition in Land Lot 903 and 958 of the 17th District, located on the east side of Baker's Meadow, south of Baker's Farm Road. Staff recommends approval subject to the site plan received on May 13th, 2021. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V 78? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V 79, Jason Huff is requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet, a proposed 3,000 square foot barn, from the required 100 feet to 35 feet adjacent to the southern property line, and to allow a second electrical meter on a residential property, to allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened and treated surface, and to allow an accessory structure, an existing 128 square foot shed, to be located in front of the principal building in Land Lot 272 of the 20th District, located on the east side of Old Mountain Road, south of Burnt Hickory Road. Staff recommends approval subject to the fire department comments and that the accessory structure not be used for commercial or dwelling use. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V 79? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V 80, Joshua A. Tolbert is requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for an approximate 1,300 square foot garage from the required 100 feet to 10 feet adjacent to the eastern property line, 35 feet adjacent to the rear property line, and 40 feet adjacent to the western property line in Land Lot 632 of the 17th District, located on the north side of Donnellan Drive, north of Madison Street. Staff recommends approval subject to stormwater management comments and that the accessory structure not be used for commercial or dwelling use. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V 80? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V 83, Ken Mathis is requesting a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface from 35% to 41.6%, to reduce the front setback from the required 15 feet to 14.6 feet in existing condition, and to reduce the rear buffer from 50 feet to 49.2 feet, also an existing condition, in land lots 3 and 1099 of the 1st and 17th District, located on the west side of Chattahoochee Plantation Drive, south of Chattahoochee Court. Staff recommends approval subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V83? Let the record show there is no one opposed. Case V84, Jubilee Christian Church International Glory Tabernacle Incorporated, is requesting a variance to reduce the front setback for a church from the required 50 feet to 36 feet, an existing condition in land lots 717 and 718 of the 19th District, located on the north side of Macedonia Road, west of Ernest Barrett Parkway. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition to case V84? Let the record show that there is no one opposed. Case V85, Piedmont Healthcare, is requesting a variance to increase the maximum allowable sign area per sign from 49 square feet to 69.6 square feet in land lots 365, 427, and 428 of the 16th District, located on the southwest corner of Chastain Meadows Parkway and Chastain Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V85? Let the record show there is no one opposed. V86, Walton Community Services Incorporated, is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum number of required parking spaces from 23 to 13, and to reduce the side setback from 15 feet to 14.7 feet adjacent to the northern property line, an existing condition in land lots 1067 of the 19th District, located on the east side of Austell Road, south of Fairview Drive. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V86? Let the record show there is no one opposed. That concludes the consent agenda.
All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Payton. I do have a question. I noticed a gentleman had just walked in, and we were missing an applicant on case V69 earlier, right? No, V70
71.
earlier. That is you, okay, all right. Can we go back and revisit that case then, at this point?
We can just leave it on the consent agenda.
Okay, well,
I don't think I asked for opposition.
yeah,
Would you like me to?
can we go back on that one?
Oh,
Is there
okay.
anyone opposed to case V70? Let the record show there is no one opposed.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So it's back to this board. Are there any comments or questions or concerns about any of these cases from anybody? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Okay, move to approve the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman, as amended by the movement of those cases where there was opposition to the regular calendar.
Okay. And to be specific, I guess, do we need to call those out? Or no?
Preferably.
Okay. So that's going to be 69, I think, right? And 71. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Is there a second? Great. Thank you, Brian. Any other discussion? All right. Then I will call for a vote. Please go ahead and cast your votes. And we have approval for the motion of 4-0. So thank you all very much. We will approve that. And for those of you whose case was on consent, you are now free to go. If you do, I just ask that you please leave quietly. And we will now turn our attention to the regular case agenda. Our procedure here is that Mrs. Payton will read a case into the record, and the applicant or any representative of the applicant who wishes to speak will be asked to come forward to be sworn in. And I'm not sure who's doing the swearing in today. It's going to be Mr. Johnson over here. Likewise, anybody that's wishing to speak in opposition will be asked to come forward and to be sworn in as well.
The applicant and opposition will each have 10 minutes to present their case. All testimony will need to be made from the podium over here to my right, where we've got full audio-visual capabilities. Testimony will be followed by questions from the board and may be directed to either party. So with that, Ms. Payton, I think we're ready for our first case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's V66. Calvin Malines is requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for an approximate 1,912 square foot, one-story frame building from 100 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the western property line, 10 feet adjacent to the eastern property line, and 19 feet adjacent to the rear property line, and to reduce the side setback from the required 10 feet to 9 feet adjacent to the eastern property line, an existing condition, and increase the maximum allowable impervious coverage from 35% to 52.5% in land lot 566 of the 19th District, located on the south side of Sawmill Road, east of Canton Drive. Is the applicant present? Yes. Is there anyone opposed to case V66? Let the record show there is no one opposed.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, could you please state your name for the record?
Calvin Malines.
Okay, thank you very much. You've got 10 minutes to kind of explain your case, if you would, please. Floor is yours.
I had just built a game room for my kids, and pretty much that's it. Just, keep them in a safe area. The lady saw the place. I let her come look at it, and she looked through the whole house and seen how it looked. She said it looked real nice, and she wrote it on the report. But I let her see everything, and pretty much that's it.
I got to thumb back over on this one for a second.
I don't know if y'all have a picture of the house, but y'all can see.
Do you have one? I mean, you've got a picture here of an image from above. Maybe you can explain from this image what it is that you want to do. You see the picture up here on the screen?
Oh, yeah, you can see the back is where I built the game room at,
Okay,
the back of the yard.
okay.
And that's the one they was talking about, the building that I built in the backyard.
All right.
I thought it was-
Were there code enforcement issues on this one? No? Nothing? Okay. Well, with that,
They got the, I had the survey,
uh-huh,
and that's the only thing that was wrong with the survey was, they said like the part of the fence was a little bit in the yard, but they said everything else was straight.
okay. Looking over the site. Yeah, I think I'm gonna turn it to you, and then we'll ask some people to come up. All right, well, what I'd like to do is, because Ms. McSwain represents your district, I'm going to let her go ahead and ask some other clarifying questions, and then we'll go from there. So it's up to you, Jacqueline.
Okay. All right,
You got it.
I just have one question about your hardship. What is the hardship for it?
Ma'am,
What is the hardship for the reason you,
the game room for my kids.
okay.
I thought I had some pictures, but I probably got a couple of pictures on my phone, the inside of the building.
Okay. And there was no code enforcement issues?
No,
Okay. Okay.
You want to just throw it up for anybody else? Yeah.
Anyone else on the board have any questions?
My only question would not be for the applicant, it would be to just our stormwater folks. That'd be it.
Yeah, okay. If you wouldn't mind, just step away for a moment here. We want to ask Carl Carver from Stormwater to come up to answer a couple of questions. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. I'm not,
Carl Carver, Cobb County Stormwater.
Okay. Tell me what your plans would be for mitigation here, what you are likely to require of the applicant, just so he knows.
Our comment was to mitigate the impervious surfaces over 35%. I think he's asking for 52.5%. And so there's going to be a significant amount of mitigation required. And most of the impervious surfaces are already existing, so he's going to have to redirect some of those via gutters and downspouts to some kind of mitigation.
Or potentially, he could just remove some cement.
Or remove some things.
The good news in the picture, it doesn't seem to all be used or full of cars, at least in the picture, so,
Correct.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have questions? Oh, that was yours? Okay. So as I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at all the staff comments, and I wanted Calvin to just, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at them and understand them. Yeah, you can come on up. Sure, that's fine. I think this was all posted online, but there are some staff comments about development inspections and the structure needing to be permitted and inspected. And then fire department has a pretty extensive number of comments. And I just want you to understand that you'll be subjected to, getting that through or approved by those folks, even if you're approved here today. And then like Mr. Carver just said, there will be some mitigation required for this impervious surface concern. So I just want to make sure that you're aware that that is going to be something that will be required even if the motion, or if there is a motion to approve, so, okay. All right, it's back to you.
Okay. So I'm going to move for the motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, presuming it's subject to the staff comments.
Okay, yeah, so if you phrase it that way, but yes, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so it'll be, the motion is to, well, I guess we need to ask any other questions. We got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, so the motion then is to approve subject to staff comments. We'll go ahead and take that vote. All right. We got approval 4-0, so thank you very much. And I think that'll do us. What,
So-
you have a question?
Where would I get all the information to start on what I need to do?
I'm going to defer to, okay, Mrs. Payton.
You can contact the zoning division, and we'll provide you with the
Everything.
stipulations of approval.
Okay,
Great.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Payton, what's next?
Our next case is variance case V69. Dave Peck is requesting a variance to reduce the required setback from the center line of an arterial roadway from 62 feet to 56 feet, and to reduce the side yard setback for a sign from the required 10 feet to 8 feet in land lots 189 and 190 of the 18th District, located on the east side of Mableton Parkway, south of Boggs Road. Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition to case V69? Let the record show there is one person in opposition.
Okay.
Would the applicant and the opposition come forward to be sworn in? Thank you. That's you.
Okay. Come on up. If you would, please, go ahead and state your name for the record.
My name is Matt Long.
Okay, thank you, Matt. And you've got 10 minutes to explain your case.
So essentially, the reason that we're asking for this variance is because of the sign that we currently have. In order for it to be changed, there's a monument style requirement. And so that would mean that the base has to get wider. And so the resulting design of this is basically a wider sign. It's actually a little bit smaller. in overall size, and basically the width of it, of the base that had to increase in order to make it a monument sign, created the need for a variance, and that's why we're here today.
Okay. And that applies to both of the two variances that we have in front of us?
Correct. Let me
Okay.
reread the first one. So yes, they're basically essentially the same thing. As far as the setback is concerned, it's kind of a tied request for both of them.
Okay. And obviously, you've got some opposition here. I don't know if you've talked with your opposition or you can know what she might want to share, but is there anything that,
No, I actually was unaware, but we're obviously all ears to see what is said and can go from there.
so just, again, you've got 10 minutes, 8.5 minutes left. Anything
So
else?
I guess at the basis of it, in order to meet Cobb County code, we have to go this route. So in order for it to be a monument sign, it's going to be a wider base to support what we're allowed square footage wise. And that's the reason for our need to encroach on the setback.
Any chance you've got a rendering of the sign that we could take a look at?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, it's on there? Okay, yeah, I think I might have.
It would be the last page if you have the package that we submitted, page 7. If not,
Okay.
I have one right here.
Got it. And you're saying it's the base again? What was it?
So Cobb Code requires us to have a monument sign.
Right.
Which essentially is a wider based sign than the existing, what we would call a pole sign.
Uh-huh.
And as far as the structural requirements, for it to get that wide and big, we have to go wider. And I don't know the exact wording of the Cobb Code, but our design came up with this, and
So it's essentially the same
encroachment-
location, just, okay.
Correct.
Got
And
it.
if you notice, it doesn't actually create the need for a new concrete pad. So it's really not much of an increase of impervious surface in the first place.
All right, thank you. Anything else you think we might
That's
need to
really all I
know?
can add. It's kind of that simple. We probably would have moved it if it would have made sense for the design and cost. So there's
Okay.
obviously those things in play. And if you look at the equipment next to it, it's kind of hard to scoot the sign over because there's the vacuums and the air pump right there as well.
Okay.
So the kind of underground needs that would come into play could kind of blow the project up in the first place.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We may have more questions for you after opposition speaks, but. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you? Could you please give us your name for the record?
My name is Robin Meyer, and I'm the
Okay.
chairman of the zoning committee for the Mapleton Improvement Coalition.
Okay, great.
And if we could put this on the overhead. First of all, I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to speak with Mr. Long. I did speak with Mr. Peck, whose information I had from the application. We really have no problem with the location of the sign and the request for the variance. It's quite minor. What we do have concerns about is the overall condition of this property. And thus, we would ask that before the permit is issued for this sign, assuming your approval, that all the outdoor storage and litter, including the trash, tires, basketball goal, engine hoists, and household trash cans, be removed, that the wooden fence, which is in very poor condition and missing in many places, be replaced. The unregistered donation boxes have been removed, and we're very happy to see that happen. We would ask, before the sign permit be issued, that the graffiti be removed. We were also asking for the U-Haul rental vehicles to be removed, and they have been. Again, we're very happy to see that happen. And we would ask that the dumpster be placed in an enclosure which meets the current Cobb County development standards. And then for the future, we would ask that you prohibit outdoor storage at this location as defined by the Cobb County ordinance, that you prohibit overnight vehicle parking and/or vehicle storage, which has been a code enforcement violation at this property previously, that you require that the fence be kept in good condition when parts go missing or are broken, that they be replaced, and prohibit vehicle repair, vehicle storage, or vehicle rental, such as the U-Haul operation, which has been in place here. The The pictures that you see on your screen, I took about 10 days ago. And yesterday, I drove through the gas station and took this photo of roughly the same area. So you'll see that there has been improvement, and it's improvement that we're very happy to see. But the dumpster continues to be a problem. In many cases, it happens in our community that people leave their household trash around someone else's dumpster. That doesn't seem to be the case here. This looks like boxes from, potentially from the C-store itself. At any rate, this is in plain sight of the folks who work in this establishment. And even though there was room in the dumpster, no one had put the trash in the dumpster. So we think putting it in an enclosure with locking gates would be a great idea for the community and for this property. I understand that the property is getting an upgrade generally from Valero, a new canopy you saw in the previous rendering. That's great. That's just great. We're happy to see it. We do not want to stand in the way of progress. We certainly don't want to stand in the way of improvement. But we do want to make sure that it's plain to the owners and operators of this property that the kind of care and operation that they've been undertaking in the past is not acceptable going forward. So we would ask that you approve this variance for the sign, but that you also place conditions upon it, such as we've laid out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Okay, with that then, I'd like to call Mr. Long back up to respond to the concerns and tell us if there are any plans to address those.
I'll certainly take everything.
State your name again, please.
Matt Long.
Yep, okay.
I'll certainly take everything that was said here and put it in the hands that can do something about it. I'm kind of a messenger in the place of this kind of issue, as we're just related to the signage. But I do think that there'll be ears to the table when I explain to them what was said here, and it's really the best that I can offer from my position.
Okay. Yeah, I wish you had that authority, but we may, I'll defer here and let Ms. McSwain ask some other questions of you, and she'll,
Just
I guess,
to add to that,
articulate the
certainly knowing
motion.
that
Huh?
This probably isn't going to just go away if the sign gets disapproved, so it's probably going to be an issue that needs to be resolved. I can probably say that confidently, so I don't believe that it would be brushed aside if the sign doesn't get approved.
Yeah.
Knowing that these issues aren't going to, like I said, go anywhere. So, and it sounds like there's a very detailed case made that we'll have to address.
Okay, thank you. And before you leave, I'll just turn it over then to Mrs. McSwain and see if you've got some questions for Mr. Long.
I don't have any questions. I did speak with Mr. Peck, and he did say that those things would be taken care of. So, any questions from you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is that the concerns that Mrs. Meyer raised are kind of out of scope for the variance that we're being asked to consider, but we can certainly call on code enforcement to go out and make sure that everything is in compliance. So I'm going to leave it to you as to how you might want to phrase that motion, but at a minimum, I would suggest that we ask code enforcement to, come out and make a visit. They can work with you on making sure that everything is in compliance with code beyond what we're here to deal with, which is just the sign variance.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I move that the variance be approved with code enforcement being called out to make sure you're in compliance.
All right. We've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Is that, I want to ask Mr. Johnson a quick question. Is that motion okay, the way we've phrased it?
I think so. I was just making sure there weren't any comments that needed to be
Probably are.
included. I don't,
Let's see.
I mean, on one hand,
I don't think there are any additional comments. I think direction for code enforcement is satisfactory.
is okay. All right. Well, great. So we've got a motion, a second. I'm sorry. Looks like Mr. Bouloigne's got a comment.
let's see. I guess the only question would be whether or not I just want a clarification on whether or not the Mableton Improvement Coalition's concerns, conditions are being incorporated in any respect, or if that is just covered by the code enforcement. That would be my question. It's all covered by code enforcement? Is that the thought?
With the
I think
things
that's the
going
spirit
on.
of it, and what I was going to suggest to Mr. Long is when you go back, please make sure that everybody understands there is a concern here, not just with the Mableton Improvement District, but even on the part of the board, to make sure that those concerns are addressed. So,
Understood. I'll
Okay.
certainly make them know that enforcement will be doing to keep them up to code, I guess, if you will.
okay. All right, so we've got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All right, we'll call for a vote. Okay, and the motion to approve is passed 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Long, and thank you, Mrs. Meyer. Okay, Ms. Payton, where are we now?
Our next case is case V71. Mandy Black is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from the required 30 feet to 21 feet and reduce the rear landscape buffer from the required 30 feet to 21 feet in land lot 1073 of the 19th District, located on the south side of Borland Way, west of Verlander Way, and west of Floyd Road. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V71?
Okay.
You are opposed to case V71? Okay. Let the record show there is one person opposed to case V71, and have you both been sworn in?
She has, I'll do that.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon.
My name's Mandy Black.
It's Mandy Black, is that right? Okay, thank you, Ms. Black. You've got 10 minutes to explain your case.
So I work for DC Enclosures, and we were contracted to do a roof over the rear patio at this address. Just pulling it up. So there's an existing 19 by 12 rear patio.
Okay?
There's also, so that's what it is. So that we were asked to put a roof over the rear patio. Putting the roof on that rear patio would put us 9 feet into the rear building setback line. So that's why we're requesting the variance to do that. They have the approval from the HOA, and that's really it. It should take 1 to 1.5 days to build, permitted, obviously.
Okay. As I'm looking at the picture that we got of the plat, it shows a 19-foot by 12-foot roof. And I'm trying to, reconcile this with that other image that we were just looking at. Okay, so the not yet begun part, is that?
That's the previous subdivision plat. That's the neighbor's house.
Okay.
So they're combined through the middle wall.
Okay.
And there's a fence between them.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. Okay?
Yeah.
You've got lots of time left. If there's anything else that you think you might need to explain, or if you can anticipate what the concerns of the opposition may be.
The only thing that I might be able to think of, there's 2 other neighbors in the neighborhood also about to go through the variance process for similar structures. And I know that they're having issues with their fence. But the fence is maintained by the HOA, and the HOA is in process of trying to fix those gaps in the fence or keep up the landscaping. So that's the only thing I can maybe think of. The roof will have shingles to match the existing house, and all the paint on the sides of the wing walls will match the existing house, so it would just flow nicely over the patio.
Okey-doke.
That's it.
If that's it, then thank you, and we'll call the opposition up.
Should I keep this up here? No, leave it. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to the board. My name is Tavia Holloway. I reside.
I'm sorry, is it Tavia Holiday, right?
Holloway, yes, sir.
Holloway, okay. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, you've got 10 minutes.
Thank you. So I reside next door in 1055 Borland. On the previous picture that was up, the unit that said not yet begun, I live in that home. And really, my issue is not one necessarily for this application and for my next door neighbor. It's more of an issue for the county, because when my mother submitted her application to have similar work done by the same contractor, it was rejected. Somehow, this one was accepted. So after many unreturned emails and phone calls, I went out to zoning and was told that the HOA needed to sign off on my application, but that was not a requirement for 1065. So I'm really here out of desperation trying to get some clarification on the proper application procedure.
I'm not sure we can help you a lot there. I don't, Ms. Payton, can you maybe respond?
1065 does have an HOA letter of approval.
Yeah, but her concern about maybe, you're saying, you think there's some inconsistency in the way,
Yes, sir, that's my concern. So when I presented HOA approval to zoning, it wasn't accepted. They said it wasn't acceptable. I spoke
it
with the
came
gentleman.
before this board?
No, sir, and that's my concern, is that somehow theirs got a hearing and mine didn't even get a hearing. Like, the application wasn't even accepted.
Okay.
So it was-
Yeah, and I don't mean to speak for the folks that know that stuff, but they know the code far better than I do, and they'll know if it's a non-starter before you waste time. But, Ms. Payton, can you respond
You
again?
could just contact me later on today, tomorrow, and we can talk through this matter.
Okay, and what was your name again?
Jeannie Payton.
Jeannie Payton?
Yes.
Payton?
Peyton.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Well, yep, and then, okay, that'll be it for now, Ms. Holloway, but I'm going to, again, is this a District 4 case? Okay. So, Ms. McSwain, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay. I have no questions for the applicant or the opposition.
Okay. Does that mean you're ready to make a
So I'm
motion?
ready to make a motion, yes.
Okay,
I'm going to make a motion for this to be approved.
subject to staff
Sub-
comments?
Yes, subject to the staff comments.
Okey-doke. We have a motion to approve subject to staff comments. Is there a second?
Second.
We've got a second. Any comments?
Yes.
Mr. Boulogne?
Well, if we could go back
Yeah.
to the plat that you had up just a second ago.
Sure.
Yes. So first, what I've noted before I start asking questions is that we have it appears to be a roof built almost entirely outside what I perceive as the property lines, and in support of that perception, I note that the size of the tract, as noted by staff, is .04 acres. And if you go back to where the overview was with the picture of the structure, relative to it looks like the owner of this unit owns a geographic area that is smaller than the physical structure of the unit they live in.
Yeah, I don't know that that's an accurate depiction. Is that right, Jeannie? I mean, I think this has come up before.
I think our maps are a good indication, but by no means completely accurate.
All right, well, my second, just based on the fact there's an HOA, my inference would be, I'd say it's more than speculation, I would call it inference, that the common areas are maintained by the HOA, and that the entire structure proposed here, or a substantial portion of it, especially given the denoted property line, would be outside the confines of the property owned by the applicant. And I don't know if we have authority to grant a variance to build a structure on someone else's property, and that would be my question to council.
First consideration, I would recommend.
Mike.
Just first consideration, this is the first time I've heard this. I would say no, that's outside the scope of the variance request. It's not the applicant. There's no governance that we would have over other parcels outside the application, if that is common area owned by the HOA.
In which case, my recommendation would be to hold this for a month to get clarification on whether this is the private property owner's property or the or HOA property, so we can act appropriately within the limits of our jurisdiction.
If I could, thanks very much, Mr. Boulogne, but let me turn around and ask that question back, I guess, to Mr. Johnson, Ms. Payton. If it were potentially encroaching on neighboring property, wouldn't that be identified before this was brought to us?
Without being the person who took in the application, it's hard to speculate what was considered, which is my thought process with the previous, the opposition, her application. I'd like to know more details. The point you've made is certainly valid. We do have a letter from the HOA, but it is possible we need to research this more to see if the HOA itself would need to act as applicant with the homeowners acting as applicant's representative on any cases such as this.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, got anything to add?
I would just say, based upon the questions that are arising, it's best to be cautious and do some more diligence.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
So let me go back. We had a motion and a second.
They can withdraw their motions, or you can take a vote and deny that
Okay.
and take it in a subsequent motion, so either way.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to withdraw the motion.
Okay. And then we'll need another one if we want to hold it to do the research here on these questions that just came up.
Okay.
So if you want to make another motion then to hold the case,
it.
for this
Okay.
next month.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to hold this case for another month.
Okay.
I'll second it since I created the issue.
All right, well, thanks. Obviously, it was something that we felt needed to happen. So we got a motion to hold us and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I'm wondering if we could hear from the representative, Mandy, looks like she is.
Yeah,
Oh.
before I applied for the permit and the variance, I was with the zoning for like a few days, the whole month beforehand, trying to figure out who had to apply for it, because the HOA does own the land behind all of the houses in the neighborhood. And they said they had no problem with it because it was attached to the house. The houses are all fenced in behind each other. And then with Ms. Holloway's case, the HOA board called me last week asking why she was being asked to be the applicant when it's not her house, it's not her property. They were not going to sign off on an application on something that doesn't pertain to them. So I'm not sure where this will go after this.
Again, I just think based on the questions that have come up, and I'm sorry, that we're going to have to delay the project, but I just think, given everything that's come up, we'd all be better served to go ahead and hold this case for another month.
Okay.
But I appreciate it, and I'm sorry.
That's
But,
okay.
okay. So we've got a motion, we've got a second. Any further discussion? All right, so we'll call for a vote. And the vote is unanimous to hold this case then until our next hearing in August, which is August the, 12th? Is that, huh? When? 11th, thank you. Okay, August 11th. All right. Thank you, Ms. Black. Okay, what's the next case, Ms. Payton?
Next case is variance case V. Case V 81.
Okay,
Crystal McDowell is requesting a variance to reduce the rear setback from the required 30 feet to 15 feet and to allow an accessory structure, a proposed 400-square-foot garage, to be to the side of the principal building and closer to the side street right-of-way line in land lot 620 of the 19th District, located on the southwest corner of Battle Court and Battle Trail. Is the applicant present? Is there anyone opposed to case V81? Let the record show there is one person opposed to case V81. Would the applicant and opposition come forward to be sworn in, please?
These are all your cases. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for your patience today. Could you please state your name for the record?
Crystal McDowell.
Okay. And you have...
Andrew McDowell.
And Andrew, okay. Thank you both. You have 10 minutes. I was going to say, and to the extent that, you've got opposition to the, I'd just ask you to try to anticipate the concerns there and talk to us about that if you could.
Okay, we recently had the property surveyed in order to adjust the build lines and to update to the new standards that are required for the build lines. Our house is from the 1970s, early 1970s. So for variance number 1, which is, may I point? Thank you. Okay, so this would be the rear, and right here.
Can you hold that mic a little closer to your mouth?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so as you can see, the build line goes right through, or the easement goes right through the middle of the house. So we're requesting that it be moved from 30 feet to 15 feet for us
Yep.
to allow to put a roof over our porch.
So that's an existing situation, basically.
It is.
Okay.
It is. And the roof will be up to 8 feet deep from the house. Okay, now for the second, and we're requesting the variance due to hardship. We're requesting hardship consideration because the line does go through the house, and we don't have many options on that.
Okay.
And with regard to the second one, we, once again, are requesting that it says garage, but it should be carport and shed. I'm sorry, carport and shed. We received the survey, back from the surveyor the day of submission. So I missed that when it was submitted. But it should be a carport with a shed. And we're looking at a 20 by 20, but would like to extend that to a 20 by 30, if possible. And we are requesting a hardship consideration on this because we have no other options on where to put the carport and shed.
Okay. You've still got time.
Yeah, as you can see, we don't have a backyard. That's our backyard. And this is the legal front of the house, so that's where it's located.
Got it.
The shed, the carport will contain the shed and will butt up against the easement and will connect to the driveway by way of additional concrete. The height will be approximately 18 feet at the highest point, and in order to accommodate a travel trailer. So this is, I just superimposed this carport. That's not to scale, but it gives you an idea of what we're looking at right here.
Okay.
And I see that we do have opposition to this, and I would like to make a few comments regarding that. So Mr. Andrews' house is located, right in this area, right? This is the lot line right here.
Okay.
The carport would be at his deck. It would not obstruct any of his windows, which would be his living room, dining room, and kitchen windows. Those are closer to the street, and the carport would be set back further. And in addition to this, the back of his deck does look onto a very wooded area. So this right here is our house. This is Mr. Andrews' house. This is our backyard, and this is the view from his deck. All of that beautiful wooded and creek area. So that's basically it.
Okay. Thank you very much. That you can take a seat, and we'll go ahead and call the opposition up.
Did you have any comments? Okay.
Is
Thank
that-
you very
okay.
much. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If you would, please state your name for the record.
I'm Joseph Andrews.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrews. Go ahead, you've got 10 minutes.
I sent a statement online by email. I don't know if you have that in your folder or not, or if you've reviewed that. Okay, I sent it to Mr. Peterson.
Okay.
I believe Ms. McSwain has a copy of that in your folder. A number of reasons for not wanting this. First of all, I'd like to know how tall it will be. We have any information on that?
She just said at its highest point, 18 feet.
18 feet,
Mhm.
okay. The
And
variance.
you saw the rendering too, right?
Yeah, but I
okay.
couldn't really tell from the rendering how tall
Okay.
it was. But the request is for a 20 by 20, and now they want to go to a 20 by 30.
Right.
Which is a much bigger footprint. Our back deck is probably 20 feet from the property line. And then on their side, it would probably be 15 feet to their construction carport. Their home currently has a two-car garage. They've lived there for approximately 20 years. We've been in our house for 34 years, so a long time. I'm just going to read this, if that's okay. This would be a large 20 by 20 strip that would be crammed and crowded into a small triangular space right next to our outdoor deck where we sit and entertain. It would also have a huge presence from our dining room window. These type buildings tend to be industrial looking and not attractive, not something you want to see when sitting on the deck or at the dining room table. My main points of concern: loss of privacy. This is an outdoor deck where we sit probably every night, but weather permitting. Loss of property value. This is not something that somebody is looking for a house to buy would want to see in the neighbor's backyard. Loss of curb appeal and aesthetics. There are other number of reasons. There are some code issues with the applicants as well. We've had to put up a screen on one side of the deck because they have an old pickup truck that's parked there, been parked there for approximately 20 years on the ground. So I think that is in violation of the codes. There is a burn barrel in the yard. There are some old garden tillers, tools laying in the yard. So my issue is, another piece of something to look at. But that's pretty much it. I'm glad to know that it is a carport because there was some confusion as to whether a carport or garage, but I take, exception that this would go from 20 by 20 to 20 by 30. That's a much bigger footprint.
Okay. Anything else?
That should be it. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Andrews. I'm going to go ahead and, I think, well, actually, because this case falls again in District 4, I'm going to defer to Mrs. McSwain to kind of lead the discussion from here. Well, while she's looking things over, I was going to say, Mr. Andrews, you can go ahead and have a seat if you like.
I do have one picture, if I can show you that. This is a picture from our deck to
Go
their
ahead.
yard.
All right. Yeah, uh-huh. Okay,
So we've had to look at that for a very long time.
okay.
Imagine a 20 by 30 foot structure there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Are you ready or do you want me to do that? Okay.
Can we have the applicant back up, please?
Yes.
Would you like to comment on the opposition's comments?
The pickup truck, it just doesn't sit there. It is used. It is not on a hard surface. That is correct.
It is on a gravel bed, though. It is gravel underneath there.
Okay.
The pickup truck would be contained in the carport. Tools, there's a, what is,
I've got 3 55-gallon drums there that I was going to make barbecue grills out of in an old barbecue grill sitting right there.
and not the tiller, what is that? It's a, he's got an
It's an
aerator.
aerator
Yeah.
sitting there.
This sits by the garden.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, actually, I do have a few. First off, I don't think legally we can approve of a 20 by 30 because that's not what we had advertised,
Yes.
coming into the hearing today. So for that reason alone, I'm inclined to suggest that we hold this case, if in fact that's what it is that you all want us to consider and approve. But because the dimensions are different than what we were asked to consider and what was promoted, we can't do that today.
But the 20 by 20 was the exact building we wanted to approved, and we just said, well, if we can go longer in the front, that would help.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case. It does not have to be 2030. 2020 would be good enough for me.
Okay, so then that being the case, I've got a couple other questions just based on what concerns the opposition just raised, and that is, obviously from their deck, they're looking right over into your property. I don't know if you guys have talked about a fence or if you've considered any kind of natural vegetation or landscaping that would kind of block off his view of, could be where the truck is parked, it could be of the carport itself.
There's really not much room for vegetation. He already has trees and bushes planted right on the property line, so there's not much more that we could add there. It's all shaded, there's not much that we could add that's going to grow. As far as a fence is concerned, because of the slope of the land, the truck is much lower than what his deck is, so the fence would have to be 30 feet, 20 feet.
But I would think still it looks like to me there's room for some kind of plantings that could obscure a view of the truck and the carport, and that I might ask you all to consider, and that may be a stipulation. I don't know. I'm going to defer to Ms. McSwain again on that one, but that,
Yes, sir, but
just
what
based on the concerns we heard from the opposition might be something to do.
What happens is because the sun is on our side, all of the trees tend to grow toward my property. So they end up dying because they don't get sun.
So the other question I guess I would have is, I've got the rendering and it looks like there might be some siding on the shed part of this thing. I'm just, aesthetically, I would ask that you try to make it, as consistent maybe with the design and, the architectural features of the house itself as possible. And these are all things, again, we can think about trying to stipulate. But beyond that, I'm not sure about the truck and what, if that's in code or not, even though it's got a gravel bed. But I'll shut up now and I'll let the other board members ask questions.
Yeah, I might just say, as a former HOA president, when issues like this came up, one of the first things I asked the neighbors to do is to work it out themselves and talk about the issue and see if there might be a means that both parties agree before we get HOA, we would give HOA approval. And I'm just wondering if that's been done. As I look at the property, though, It looks like near the rear of the property, there might be a better location for this proposed garage that would not be, a quote-unquote eyesore to the opposition, and also would still satisfy your requirements of a detached carport.
I only have 10 feet between my driveway and the edge of the property.
Where are you looking, Brian, exactly?
I am
Because
looking,
this is a building line here,
okay.
so that would require variance, but it's an
No,
option that they may want to consider, and that's
No,
another reason maybe to hold this thing.
It would, yes, it would require a variance, most definitely.
Yeah,
But
it may be a better option.
it may be a better option for all parties.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you explain where you're talking about?
Yeah. Basically, the corner,
It'd be the southwest
you
corner,
say you don't
right?
have a backyard, and I see that, but it would be the southwest corner, ma'am? If there's room back there, that obviously, there's going to be easement issues that would require a variance, but locating it in that area, and I don't know if the same size carport would fit in that area. I'm just saying, it looks like there might be a means that, it could be placed there, and then, you would not have, I'd assume the opposition would maybe go away. If
May I
that's
make
the
a
case.
comment? It
Sure.
would be extremely difficult to get to reverse or back up a travel trailer down sharp turn and to get it into that back position.
Yeah, and we don't, I don't think we mean to propose the final solution here, but that was something I guess might be
Yeah,
considered.
I'm throwing out
Yeah.
considerations and options.
Anything else?
Because I appreciate
Heather?
both presentations and stuff, and I understand, but I also, again, being a previous homeowners president, I understand the opposition's concerns and potential, if he's selling it with property values and whatnot, so.
Okay, Mr. Bloin.
Thank you. You already have a Winnebago, right?
We do not, we would like one.
Oh,
We
you're
don't have
going
one
to
yet.
get a
It won't be
Winnebago.
full trailer.
Okay. Do you know about how long those vehicles are?
I would like at least a 26-foot.
Okay. Would you be willing to entertain something with some siding on it that roughly matches your house, that would face the side nearest to the neighbor who's objected today?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can I call him up for just a second?
Sure,
Would
please.
you folks
Yep.
indulge me
Mr.
to
Andrews,
do
yep.
that? Okay. Let me hear from him for just a second.
I've got to ask you to state your name again, if you wouldn't mind.
Joseph Andrews?
Yep. Okay, go ahead, please.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my question was, so my colleague from District 3 has suggested maybe instead of right where they suggested this structure, if instead we can move something towards the back line, would that enhance your line of sight, your view from your home?
That would be preferable if that's the only option.
Okay, and if they did something like that, even if it had to invade that 10-foot setback line by a couple of feet, would that be, if they moved it further down the driveway, would that be a better thing for you?
That would be better if that's the only option.
Okay, and if...
I'm not happy with any of the options right now.
I understand, I'm just
Yeah.
trying, I'm trying
I
to...
appreciate that.
I'm trying to come up with a win-win, although maybe I'm proposing a lose-lose, but I'm just trying to do the best I can. But, and if they did that, do you think it'd be preferable to have a physical siding that roughly matched their house facing you rather than looking into the side of a Winnebago?
That's something I would have to see to make a decision on.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe you folks...
One other thing, I have a problem with these neighbors. They have a history of trespassing into my yard.
Is there?
So we have a bit of a combative situation between us.
Is there I presume then there's not a fence on the property line at present?
No, but there could be real soon.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, okay. I guess one thing I just want to point out, Mr. Andrews, is that if you look at this drawing on the screen right now, you can see where the building line is. So, if for, whatever reason, these folks were trying to rebuild a home or something, I mean, they could build a home right on that building line where this proposed garage is.
With a variance, correct?
No variance would be required. This is because it's to the side of the principal building is why, we're
Okay.
being asked to consider it today. But I mean, somebody could build a home, right where that is if they wanted. So I want you to make sure you're aware of that. Okay, well, thank you very much.
One other thing.
Go ahead.
There is a green space there now, and the reason the space is there is because I planted the bushes and the trees to hide what's going on basically in their yard.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit behind. I planted those in 2017, I think. So they are growing, but the elevation of our deck is probably 12 feet. So we're basically looking over into their yard and down into their backyard. I don't know if where they have the screen porch, there's an area underneath that could be fleshed out in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of miscellaneous things under there now which could be moved. Maybe the screen porch could be extended a little bit and at least enough for parking a vehicle. But other than that, that's all my comments.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yep, you bet.
And Mr. Chairman, if I
Yeah,
could just add,
sure.
obviously, I've got no problem with the first variance request, and I just don't know whether the commissioner from District 4 would prefer to deal with this piecemeal or deal with it all comprehensively. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to indicate that.
I don't mean to answer on your behalf or for Mr. Johnson's, but I would, I think, advocate that we hold this case and give both sides a chance to step back for a little bit and think about everything, all the questions that have come up today. I'd really like to encourage you folks to get together and talk about how, you might arrive at some compromise solution that you can both be okay with, if not happy with, but certainly not unhappy with. And I think the best opportunity for that is for you folks to try to talk through some different ideas, and then it may or may not be that a 20 by 30 is an option that you want to pursue. It may be if you can look at these other things that have been discussed in terms of some landscaping and the design features of the carport and that sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to recommend, but it's up to Mrs. McSwain to make the motion here. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I do recommend to hold the case.
Yes, go ahead.
I do recommend to hold the case for another month.
Make a motion, please.
Yep.
I'd like to make the motion to hold the case for another month.
Great. Do we have a second?
I've been told by the board member from District 3 to second, so I'll second.
Okay. We've got a motion to hold and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, well, if you all will please cast your votes. And the motion to hold this case until next month is approved by a 4-0 vote. Thank you very much, and I guess we'll look forward to seeing you all next month. And sorry for the delay, but I hope that'll serve everybody better in the end. All right, Ms. Payton, where are we?
Our final case on the regular agenda is variance case V87. Mikkel A. Uresti is requesting a variance to reduce the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for an approximate 2,200 square foot garage existing and an addition must be proposed from the required 100 feet to 10 feet adjacent to the southern property line and to 2 feet adjacent to the rear property line in land lot 929 of the 19th district, located on the west side of Citizen Circle, south of Brookwood Drive. Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition to case V 87? Let the record show there is no opposition.
Great, come on up, please. Long afternoon. So if you would, please state your name for the record.
Miguel Uresti.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Uresti. You have 10 minutes to present your case.
Okay. What I wanted to do is we have an existing carport that's been damaged for the last year storm. And I know when we bought the house, it wasn't a good condition. So now it's in poor conditions, which is I want to fix it, right? So what I want to do is build a 22 by 22 garage on the existing carport. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay. Can you tell us anything about the materials that you want to use or the design? Do you have any kind of renderings of what?
I submitted the plan.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you guys have it on file, but I have the plans with me.
Okay.
Well, this is the, well, the old plan is not here, but there's the very, it's not. Let me see if I can find the email with my architect, Drew.
Okay.
So it's gonna be wood with siding material, and then just regular roof shingles on the roof. And right now it's just a metal arnie.
Okay.
Like a.
So you've still got 8 minutes. I guess we're going to get the drawing here on the screen. You can talk us through in a second. There we go. Okay.
So what I'm trying to build it is in the garage with the carport overhang is right there.
Right.
That's gonna
You
be.
can actually point to it on the screen over there if you want.
It'll be right here.
So that's the carport, and then the
Yes.
garage is there, and then the dotted line that goes beyond the garage, what does that indicate?
Well, that everything there is existing.
Okay. And you're aware that this would extend into a drainage easement and floodplain? Not aware of that?
No.
Okay. Because I see in here that there's a comment from Stormwater about if the variance is approved, you would be required to provide a hold harmless agreement in the event that they needed access to that easement. So I don't know if you want to go to that expense knowing that, you know, there's that risk, but you would be asked to sign that agreement before you built it, if it's
Well,
approved.
Right now, I mean, it's a roof, metal arnie. So
Yeah.
it's rainy, it's water and all that stuff. It's already there. I'm just trying to build something better than what we have.
No, I understand. We just want to make sure that you stay in compliance with the county code, so.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. We didn't have any opposition on this. Was there something else you wanted to show us?
Yeah, the plan
Okay,
was just a elevation, nah. So basically, it's gonna be like a 3-car garage. Is that what I'm trying to do? And it's like a storage space on top.
Yep. So when you came in for your application, you were given a form probably to have adjacent neighbors sign off on. You're confident no neighbors would have any issues with what you're showing us here? I mean,
Yeah.
because I don't know exactly who backs up to you. Okay, well, I will be quiet and turn it over to Mrs. McSwain again, because we got yet another District 4 case. Okay.
Okay. I'd like to call Mr. Carver.
So, Mr. Uresti, you can go ahead and have a seat. We want to ask some questions of some of the folks from Stormwater here.
Carl Carver, Cobb County Stormwater.
Okay. Can you tell us about this easement?
Yes, there's a recorded drainage easement, 20 feet along the back of the property. I don't know if you can turn on the floodplain and the stormwater easement.
Actually, you know what, Carl? I think in the drawing that we got, we can see it. I think it's a shaded area, but okay, here we go. That's it. That's what we're looking at.
That's the floodplain.
Yep, got it.
And then on the recorded survey that was furnished with the application shows the 20-foot drainage easement. It also shows up on our aerial GIS system too. So the existing structures are in the easement, and the corner of the existing structure is in the floodplain. So we have a standard form, a hold harmless form agreement, such that we would need him to sign it, so that if we needed to get into that easement, or if there was damage due to a floodplain, potential flood, that he can't come to the county and against the county for damages.
Okay.
Okay.
One quick question for you. No, I'm sorry if you have something first?
No.
The green line, when we were scanning back from this, that I noticed that looks like an easement in the drawing that was submitted, and then it looks like it cuts back along the rear property line, which I don't see on the screen right now. Where does that easement go? Is it just the floodplain that this thing is?
The easement actually is inside his property, and it turns.
It does turn. So it's
onto the
about a 20-foot easement into the back of the property?
back of every lot that right there.
Okay. But you would be okay if they did sign a hold harmless?
Yes,
So,
because especially for the floodplain issue, because if there's damage due to a potential flood in the future, then the hold harmless would keep him from coming back against the
Okay.
county for damages.
Got it. Okay. What else you got? Anybody else have questions for Carl?
Okay.
Okay. Still yours.
Okay. Mr. Uresti, you have any comments? Are you okay with that, signing that hold harmless for the county?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. All right.
Before you go further, I just want to make sure too, I don't know if you've seen the other staff comments. Obviously, any approval would be subject to staff comments, but it says, if the variance is approved, the structure will need to be permitted and inspected by reducing setbacks to 2 feet of the property line, shall comply with R 302.1 exterior walls of the IRC, construction, projections, openings, and penetrations of exterior walls of dwellings and accessory buildings, shall comply with table 302.1, parentheses 1, or homes equipped with automatic sprinkler system installed in accordance with section P2904 shall comply with table R 302.1, parentheses 2. This will require a 1-hour fire resistance rated construction. So I just want to make sure you're aware of all these requirements in the staff comments. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just briefly, sir, while you're up as well, I don't know how fast water drains through there when there's a significant rain event, but it's just something you may want to consider in terms of making sure your foundation is stable. If there's going to be stormwater constantly splashing up against it, it can sometimes have the nasty habit of causing soils that support the foundation to wash away. So it's something you may wish to think about.
Okay.
That and the fact that, again, with this easement
Yeah.
and the hold harmless, I mean, you're putting a pretty big structure there, and there's risk in doing this, so, but that risk is on you if we approve it. So I just want to make sure you're good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
All right.
Okay. I move that the variance be approved, subject to the staff comments.
Which would imply the hold harmless being required. Okay. Is there a second? We have a motion to approve.
I second.
Any comments? All right, we could all please go ahead and vote. All right, Mr. Ressi, you got a 4-0 vote in support of the motion, so thank you very
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank you.
And we'll follow up, I guess, with the hold harmless and everything that is needed there.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes our regular case agenda, is that correct?
It does.
With that, then, I guess we need to move into some housekeeping, and that is to approve of the minutes from our last hearing and from our last work session. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, conditionally, I'd make a motion to amend to note that as to the V50 Patterson case, I at least intended my motion to be to allow it to be denied without prejudice to the right to refile as a two-story.
Okay.
I believe that's my recollection of what my motion was.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, are we okay to go ahead and address that here in this way?
I believe the motion to amend something previously considered would be the best method at this point, because we're at the approval of the minutes, so we would need to alter the motion from last month in order for the minutes to be updated. County Clerk, do y'all agree to that? So a motion to amend something previously considered, I think, is the best course. And if I'm hearing correctly, it was a motion to deny.
It was then, yes.
Yes.
So you're saying now the motion would be to amend? I'm getting confused, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
My recollection of my motion was, and this is just based on recollection, I haven't gone back and watched the video, but my recollection is that I moved to deny it without prejudice to this right to file an application for a two-story structure, which is what the applicant indicated a willingness to do. That's just my recollection.
That's what I would call.
If the minutes are incorrect or do not reflect the intent of the district commissioner's motion, they need to be amended. And I think the best method, if that's what you prefer from District Commissioner Boulogne, then we need to amend it to reflect that. I don't think the minutes.
Amend the minutes.
I think we're not amending the minutes at this point. I think we've passed that point.
Right.
I think we either approve or we have to go back and amend the motion that is reflected in the minutes so that the minutes can be revised.
Okay.
Because from what I'm understanding, what's in the minutes do not reflect the intent of the motion.
All right. So are we?
As written, that's correct. But that's my recollection of discussion and it's my recollection of my motion at the meeting. If,
So we're not rescinding, we're amending.
But I'll offer the conditional, since I haven't gone back and watched the video, that decision stand amended, or that motion stand amended to be for denial without prejudice as to the right to submit a plan for a two-story, a structure of 2 stories or less.
The county clerk has got comment, so.
I was just going to say, I think we need to go back and verify that was the motion. When we have a recording, we can go back and listen. So I know before we've done these amendments, we've done them at the following meeting.
So just hold the
I don't know.
vote to approve until we have a chance to go
We
back?
have to go back and actually verify the vote.
That's certainly entertainable to just hold the approval of the minutes.
Okay. And I guess we got to get a vote
If
to
there is a
hold.
perceived discrepancy in
Okay.
the minutes,
All right.
and there would not be any detriment, I don't think, in holding that approval of the minutes.
But that will
Just-
require a vote too, right?
A motion and a second. to vote,
Okay.
Correct, yes.
We can still vote on the minutes from the work session. So I would say, why don't we go ahead and, we're challenging all of Robert's rules here, aren't we? Learn on the fly. So I would suggest then that we go ahead and take a motion to approve then of the minutes from our most recent work session.
Mr. Chair, motion to hold
Wait.
approval.
No, I'm asking first for the motion to
Okay.
approve the work.
That's fine.
Session
Motion to
minutes.
approve the agenda review work session minutes as reflected
Okay.
for the meeting on July 12th, 2021, as reflected on the light gray sheet provided to us.
Great, thank you. So we got a motion to approve the minutes for the work session. Any seconds?
A second.
All right, any further discussion? Let's go ahead and vote on that. And we've got a 4-0 vote approving the motion of approving the work session minutes. Now we'll turn our attention to the last minutes, or hearing minutes. So go ahead, Mr. Malloy, you were going to make the motion?
Just motion to withhold hold approval at this time pending review of the, what was stated on the, as will be reflected on the television archives of our
Okay.
prior meeting.
So we have a motion to hold on our vote for the minutes of the last hearing. Is there a second?
A second?
Okay, we got a second. Any further discussion on this? Okay, please go ahead and let's vote on that. So we have a 4-0 vote to approve of the motion to hold approval of the minutes from our last hearing. And I think the last thing is adjourning. And I need another vote for that. Can I get a, is that right? We're ready to adjourn, I think? All right.
There's nothing else on the agenda.
I
That
think
sounds right.
we're there. Everything needs a vote. Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to adjourn?
All right, second?
Second.
All right. I don't think we need much more discussion. Let's vote. We have a 4-0 vote to approve the motion to adjourn. Thank you.